So chapter 2, that is about the continuation of requirement engineering tools and methods. So let us give you a recap. Requirement engineering is a process of defining, documenting, and maintaining requirements in engineering design process. It's a common role in the system engineering as well as software engineering. Requirement engineering is a systematic approach for eliciting or extracting, organizing, analyzing, specifying, relating, baselining, changing, and viewing the requirements. It's the most important phase of the software development lifecycle. Therefore, the importance of requirement engineering is enormous to develop effective software and in reducing software efforts at the early stages of the development of the software. There are generally 6 steps in requirement development, like develop requirements, write and document requirements, check completeness, analyze, refine and decompose requirements, validate the requirements, and then finally manage the requirements. So the kinds of requirements. Requirements are usually classified into 2 broad categories, namely functional requirements, which specify the properties and the behavior of the information system that must be developed, and the non-functional requirements, which describes the constraints on the system as well as the quality aspects of the system. So what is functional requirements? It defines a function of a system or its component, where a function is described as a specification of behavior between inputs and outputs. It's a description of the service that the software must offer. It describes a software system or its component. A function is nothing but inputs to the software system, its behavior and outputs. It can be a calculation, data manipulation, business process, user interaction, or any other specific functionality which defines what function a system is likely to perform. They are also called as functional specifications. In software engineering or system engineering, functional requirements can range from the high-level abstract statement of the syntax necessity to detailed mathematical functional requirement specifications. Functional software requirements help you to capture the intended behavior of the system. Functional requirements should include the following: details of operations conducted in every system or every screen. Data handle or data handling logic should be entered into the system. It should have a description of system reports and or other outputs. Complete information about the workflow performed by the system. It should clearly define who will be allowed to create, modify, or delete the data in the system, and how the system will fulfill applicable regularity and compliance needed should be captured in the functional document. So some of the different types of functional requirements like transaction handling, business roles, certification requirements, reporting requirements, administrative functions, authorization levels, audit tracking, external interfaces, historical data management, legal and regulatory requirements. Then comes non-functional requirements. It defines what the system does not or must not do. Non-functional requirements specify how the system should do it. They do not affect the basic functionality of the system, hence the name non-functional requirements. Even if the non-functional requirements are not met, the system will still perform its basic purposes. Non-functional requirements performs or defines the system's behavior, and general characteristics that affects the user experience. How well non-functional requirements are defined and executed determines how easy the system to use and is used to judge system performance. So some of the non-functional requirements are usability, reliability or availability, scalability, performance, supportability, security, etc. Then comes inverse requirements. It's a requirement stated as a negative proposition, that is, shall not. An inverse requirement is untestable. They explain what the system should not do. Many people find it convenient to describe their needs in this manner. Then interface requirements. It's a system requirement that involves an interaction with another system. The format of the interface requirements is such that it includes a reference or pointers to the specific location in the definition document that defines the interface. Data requirements. It establishes the process used to identify, prioritize, precisely formulate and validate the data needed to achieve business objectives. When documenting data requirements, data should be referenced in business language, reusing approved standard business terms if available. Then comes design and implementation constraints. These are all those constraints that are imposed on the design solution, which in this example, here we are giving just like energy storage system or ESS design. Examples may include a constraint that the system must use predefined commercial off-the-shelf hardware or software, use of a particular algorithm, or implement a specific interface tools. Tools for modeling requirements like use cases, state diagrams, UI mockups, storyboards, prototypes. A use case is a methodology used in a system analysis to identify, clarify, and organize system requirements. It is made up of a system of possible sequence of interaction between systems and users in a particular environment and related to a particular goal. State diagram is used to represent the condition of the system or part of the system at finite instances of time. It is behavioral diagram and it represents the behavior using finite state transitions. State diagrams are also referred to as state machines and state chart diagrams, which mostly you would have studied in unified modeling language. Then comes mockups. It's a static wireframe that includes more stylistic and visual user interface details to present a realistic model of what the final page or application will look like. A good way to think of it is that a wireframe is a blueprint and a mockup is a visual model. Then comes story model or a storyboard. It's a graphical organizer that consists of illustrations or images displayed in sequence for the purpose of pre-visualizing a motion picture, animation, motion graphics, or interactive media sequences. And finally, prototypes. It's an early sample or model or a release of the product built to test the concept or process. It's a term used in a variety of contexts, including semantics, design, electronics, and software programming. A prototype is generally used to evaluate a new design to enhance precision by system analysts and users. So then comes the next topic. Okay, before going to that, let me tell about the requirement management tools list. We are having many requirement engineering tools. The first one is modern engineering. So this is used to help the requirement team to manage their requirement documents and increase productivity. So another property, another feature is that automatic traceability analysis. So it allows you to quickly and easily scan for requirement coverage. The website is www.modernrequirements.com. Next one is Acompa. It is built for product managers, business analysts, and engineering teams who are looking to improve their requirement gathering process. The website is www.web.acompa.com. The other list are visual requirements, JAMA software, Jira software, requirement hub, RIC checker, AHA, stories on board, blueprint, font, iRise, etc. So then comes the next topic, that is about model. What is a model? It's a computer program or a representation of an object, system, or an idea in some form other than that of the entity itself. A computer program that describes the mechanism or mechanics of a considered system. The encoding of a model can be made of many ways. Let us discuss about simulation. A simulation simply is the execution of a model. This requires the further definitions of the initial conditions of the system under consideration and specified values of parameters. So a simulation of a system is the operation of a model, which is a representation of that system. The operation of the model can be studied, and from these properties concerning the behavior of the actual system can be inferred. The main types of scientific models are visual, mathematical, and computer models. Modeling and simulation see the use of models as a basis for simulations to develop data utilized for managerial or technical decision making. In the computer application of modeling and simulation, a computer is used to build a mathematical model which contains key parameters of the physical model. A simulation model, in other words, it's a mathematical business model which combines both mathematical and logical concepts that try to emulate a real-time system through the use of computer software. It's an appropriate imitation of the operations of a process or system that represents its operations over time. Simulation is used in many contexts, such as simulation of technology for performance tuning or optimization, safety engineering, testing, training, education, and video games. Some other applications are given here as designing and analyzing manufacturing system, evaluating hardware and software requirements for a computer system, evaluating new military weapon systems or tactics, determining order policies for an inventory system, designing communication systems and message protocols, designing and operations or operating transportation facilities such as freeways, airports, subways, or ports, analyzing financial or economic systems, etc. The basic steps in simulation and model building. The application of simulation involves specific steps in order for the simulation study to be successful. Regardless of the types of a problem and the objective of the study, the process by which the simulation is performed remaining constant. So here, starting with define an achievable goal, put together a complex mix of skills on the team, involve the end user, choose the appropriate simulation tools, model the appropriate levels of details, start early to collect the necessary input data, provide adequate and ongoing documentation, develop a plan for adequate model verification, develop a plan for model validation, develop a plan for statistical output analysis. Or in other words, we can tell, starting with the problem definition, project planning, system definition, model formulation, input data collection and analysis, model translation, verification and validation, experimentation and analysis, finally, documentation and implementation. So the simulation teams aims to promote development and use of model and simulation solutions and tools, diffusion and adoption of code of ethics of modeling and simulation, innovative solutions in the areas of simulations, virtual and constructive, live and or combined. So here the block diagram is being given. Start, define the problem, whether the problem is appropriate to execute. If it is no, stop the simulation or stop thinking about simulation. If the benefit exceeds the cost, then also if it is no, stop. If it is yes, plan and schedule. Whether you have adequate resources. If it is yes, system can be defined, yes or no. If it is yes, specify the parameters for the system, modulate or formulate a model, and data can be collected or data is existing. If it is yes, collect the data and analyze it. Model transition, and the described model or designed model is verified and validated. do the experimentation, do trial, test, analyze it, document and implement it, and then finally end. See, in all these cases, we have many conditions. And during this condition, if any of these conditions, if you are getting the answer is no, like if the problem is not appropriate, if the benefits are not exceeds the cost, if you does not have adequate resources, if the system cannot be defined, if the data cannot be collected, or if the data is not existing, and if the model cannot be verified or validated, it is not advisable to execute, it is not advisable to do the simulation study. Put together a complex mix of skills on the team. So if you are executing, if you are making a team, if you are arranging a team, the team members should have a knowledge of the system under investigation. They should have a system analyst skills. They should have model building skills, data collection skills, statistical skills for input data representation, more statistical skills for output data analysis, and even more statistical data for design of experiment. And finally, they should have management experience for management skills. So by involving the end user, the simulation designers are expecting, since the modeling is a selling job, whether anyone is going to believe the results. Will anyone put the results into action? The end user, none other than your customer, can do all of the above, but first of all, he must be convinced, he must be satisfied. He should be confident that, yes, the system can be used for certain purpose, and he must believe that it is his model. So once we are considering about executing a simulation, we should also consider about which is the appropriate simulation tools. We have mainly three alternatives. One is build the model in a general purpose language, build the model in a general simulation language, and use a specific purpose simulation package. So when selecting a simulation software, you should remember, establish the commitment to invest in simulation software to solve your problem. Clearly state the problem or class of problem that you would like to solve. Determine the general type of simulation tool required to solve a problem. Carry out the initial survey of potential solutions. Develop a list of functional requirements. Select the subset of tools that appear to best meet the functional requirements. Carry out a detailed evaluation of the screened tools and select a solution. See here, when we mentioned about there are three appropriate simulation tools like build model in a general purpose language. So what are the general purpose language generally be used? Like Fortran, Pascal, Modula, Ada, C, C++, etc. So there are advantages and disadvantages. Advantages are little or no additional software cost and universally available. You don't need additional training. But there are disadvantages starting because every model, whatever the model you are going to develop or design, you must start from the scratch. You must start from the beginning. Very little reusable code, long development life cycle, and different and difficult in verification phase. Second one, general purpose simulation language. We have a GPSS, that is general purpose simulation system. It is a block structured language. SimScript version 2.5, English like problem description language. ModSim version 3, modern object-oriented language. Simula, it is Algol based problem description language. SLAM, block structured language, and CSIM, which is a process-oriented language. And then come advantages. Standardized features often needed in modeling, shorter development life cycle for each model, much assistance in model verification, and very readable, understandable code. Disadvantage, of course, higher software cost, additional training required, and it have limited portability. And then comes finally the special purpose package like Network 2.5. This is a simulator software for computer system. OpNet, simulator for communication networks, including wireless networks. ComNet 3, simulation for communication networks. SimFactory, it's a simulator for manufacturing organization. The advantages, very quickly to develop for complex model because it is already a software. You just need to arrange it according to your requirement. Short learning circle, no programming because the errors will be, the usage error will be very minimum. Disadvantage, high cost of the software, limited scope of applicability and limited flexibility. May not fit your specific application. So that's all for today. If you are having any queries, please write to me to my email ID provided in the first chapter. Thank you for your cooperations and thank you for your listening. We'll meet you with chapter 3 in the next class. Thank you.